Hello and welcome to Between the Books. My name is Shannon.
And I'm Isadora.
And today we're going to be talking about Yesteryear by Caro Claire Burke. And we're also going to be talking about our activity that we did for this podcast, which was we visited a farm.
Fun.
But first, Isadora, what are you currently reading?
Okay, so going back to the House of Night saga, I am reading book 6, which is called Tempted.
I'm loving these updates.
Still having a lot of fun. I think if I remember correctly, the 7th book is one of my favorites, so I'm excited to get to that. But for now, book 6, won't go into detail. It's about vampires, vampire school. Shit is going down, guys. Book 6 is crazy.
How many are there? Can you remind me?
I think there's 12. There's
so
12 on this series. There's another series that's like in an alternate universe, and then there's companion novellas.
Wow.
Yeah, but
have you already read all of those?
I've read the whole series. I've read 2 out of the trilogy for the alternate universe, and then I have read 1 of the 4 novellas.
Wow.
And then there's also some other companion books. It's a lot.
Wow.
But I'm excited to. And then this time around, I'm definitely going to read all of it. So,
oh, really?
like the novellas and stuff that I'm missing too.
Wow.
I do own them too. I just never read them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. What are you currently reading?
So I'm currently reading Red City by Marie Lu. This is our book club book. So you also have to read this.
Yes, eventually.
And I'm like 2 pages into it, so I don't have many thoughts yet. But it's about alchemy, and I think that's really cool.
Wow.
Because at the start, they have a bunch of like alchemical symbols, and like there's a bunch of information at the start of this book.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of world
Setting
building,
up,
setting up. And oh my God, I'm back in fantasy.
It's a standalone, right?
Nope. They announced the second book.
Oh,
I saw this like
interesting.
last month or something, that
Yeah.
the second book is coming out either later this year or next year. So
Yeah, at Emerald City, me and one of our other friends, we saw Marie Lu in a panel, and she was talking about Red City, so it sounded really cool, so I'm excited to read that.
Isadora, tell us what this book is about.
Natalie lives in a charming traditional lifestyle, a lifestyle that she posts online to her 8 million followers. But behind the scenes, her kitchen is hiding industrial-grade ovens, and her husband is a part of a wealthy political dynasty, and her family may not be as perfect as they appear. However, one day, Natalie wakes up in 1855, and her husband and children are all slightly different. Now, Natalie must practice what she preaches while also figuring out what happened to her. So, Shannon, what are your overall thoughts for this one?
So yeah, I actually really, really enjoyed this book. As you know, and as everyone knows, this is like a really popular book right now. Like, I feel like if you are anywhere online in the bookish community, you have heard of this book.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because it's the author's debut novel.
And it just came out, too.
It came out in April.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much hype it's gotten. I do know that the author owns a podcast, or she does a podcast. I don't know how popular that podcast is. But I don't know if you saw, but she's went on like late night talk shows and stuff. Like, this has breached containment.
Yeah. Well, I do think that one thing too, that like the reason I first thought this was because she already had the book optioned for a movie before the book came out.
Oh, that was before the book came out.
I'm pretty sure it was. So Anne Hathaway was already like linked to it. I think even if you did you read the acknowledgements?
No.
Okay. She talks about Anne Hathaway, and Anne Hathaway, like, they had conversation about it. I think she even like had feedback about the book and stuff. Like, it wasn't even fully finished. So Anne Hathaway is set to direct and star in the
I do know
movie.
this. Yeah, I do know this. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
So it probably is what gave the book momentum. Yeah, definitely. But I think like with a book so popular, like, and so like meteoric of a rise, basically, you're like, how good can it be, really? You know?
I know.
And also, I don't read a lot of contemporary fiction.
Yeah.
But I was quite surprised by how much I liked this book. What about you?
I know. I loved this book. I thought it was so good. The concept itself was already so interesting. It's not something I personally have seen before. We're in the world with like influencers and internet and all that, social media, but I think maybe there aren't that many books where the main character is a social media influencer. Like, maybe not yet. Yeah. I'm sure there are a couple, but especially one that's like a mom vlogger, tradwife type thing. So that concept was really intriguing to me from the get-go. And I think that it just took such a turn, and everything that happened in it, like, I was so surprised by everything, and especially, it being a debut novel, it succeeded my expectations for sure.
Yeah. And I think first we actually want to talk about like the concept of the novel, which is that it is about this tradwife influencer which is like a style of influencer that has taken off pretty recently. Like but there were like family vloggers, and I feel like it's like a subsect of family vloggers where you have like these usually like Christian women who like peddle like a traditional life about like living on a farm and churning your own butter and living a sort of like like the 1800s kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, so the woman taking care of the house and the husband going out and doing the work or taking care of the farm. Having a bunch of children. Yeah. And I think that a lot of us are kind of enamored with this kind of concept of a simple lifestyle in a way, which is it's not, but it makes it look like it's not a busy 9-to-5 lifestyle that I think nowadays, like there was like a part of time in history where there was like the whole like girl boss, like all of that, like work, and then now I think there's now a new trend, which is I don't want to work, I want to have like a simple.
I just want to farm. I just want to like go see my chickens.
Exactly.
And it's like, it's a slippery slope because it's also like this stuff existed earlier on in like cottagecore kind of vibes where it's like, oh, I just want to be whimsical and run off into the woods and like that kind of thing. But it's fallen off a slope of misogyny, which is like, I want to live a simple life, and like the kind of lifestyle that these influencers like peddle, for lack of a better term. You know, as a woman, it's my duty to like have children and raise the children, and then it's like, okay, we've lost it again.
And I think not only that, but they make it look simple, like, which is a big thing of this book too. It's just, you know, what they're showing on the internet is not necessarily what's happening in real life. Like, this is actual work. Like, working in a farm, it's actual work. Taking care of a household is always like, it's actual work. Being a stay-at-home mom is actual work. And the way that they glamorize these things and make it look so easy online, it tricks people. Yeah.
And especially because like, if you're an influencer, it's kind of like paradoxical to like the life that you're trying to peddle, because you are making money from your position.
And you are online all the time. Like, a simple life is not you setting up a phone or a bunch of cameras or lighting and planning your whole day around that. Like, that's not what it actually is.
And there are really popular, you were telling me about like Ballerina Farms.
Ballerina Farms and Nara Smith. Yeah. Is her name?
Where it's like they actually have, you know, people, and like that's part of this book where it's like the main character has like people who work for her and like things.
Well, allegedly they don't have.
Oh, like they're sorry.
I don't think.
Allegedly.
I'm pretty sure they have not talked about having
actual help.
But everyone is like, they must.
Okay, yeah. And also, like, we were talking about Ruby Frankie and the 8 Passengers YouTube channel, which I already knew about before reading this book. But I heard about when she got like arrested because she was a very influential family vlogger channel, but was like abusing her children.
Yeah.
And her daughter came out with her memoir like last year. So all this stuff is like very fresh, and like people are still like navigating this kind of like landscape.
Yeah.
And so this book, it like comes at like just like a perfect time, which is like the perfect storm of it being all these concepts that people are already interested in and already like heard about. And it also just having a great concept of, you think it's going to be kind of like we're going to point at the woman who is misguided and she's going to learn the error of her ways story. And that's not what this book is about.
Yeah, not necessarily, no. It's way more complex than that.
Yeah, which I think makes this book a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, it literally was, I didn't know what to expect. Like, the whole time I was like, I thought I was going to this, like, and this was what I was going to get. But then as time went on, I'm like, wait a second, I don't know anymore. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, and then just going back to like the vlogging and all that, like right now the children of these family vloggers are getting older and older, and we're hearing way more about them like kind of turning against their parents for like putting their whole lives online. And now hopefully they're gonna start like creating better laws for that sort of stuff, because it wasn't very well regulated. But it's something that I've always been so curious about. I will admit, at one point in my life, I did get really into watching family vlogs. I just, I didn't know, but I didn't know any better. Like, I was still in high school when I was watching those. And it is entertaining. And it's almost like a Truman Show. Have you ever seen the Truman Show movie?
I have, yeah.
So it's truly like a Truman Show thing, where these people aren't real in your head. You're like, oh, these are like my little Sims, and this is how they're like living their little lives. So you don't really think about that. But now obviously things are changing and I have a whole different perspective on it. But it's just crazy imagining, like truly picturing the people setting up a camera. Like you're having this moment with your children and then you're like, let me set up a camera and let's talk to the camera. Like I couldn't imagine my parents doing that with me growing up.
Yeah.
Like imagine my parents just like pulling out a camera all the time. Like we're in public everywhere. It's like everything has to be documented and it's so terrible. And it's clearly like it's not for the benefit of the child. It's like it's for the parents. Like that's what they want. They want that attention. They want the money from the internet, and it's just so terrible.
It actually kind of like this phenomenon. It's not exactly like this, but it reminds me of the phenomenon of like, you know, like Disney Channel kids like growing up.
Yeah.
And like the first generation of Disney Channel kids being like sort of messed up of their experiences because you didn't have everyone was kind of using them as a product.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like worse is what these family vloggers are doing because no one's holding them accountable. Where it's like, I read this book like last year, which is like the Disney High. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, you talked to me about it.
Oh, I did talk to you about this, where it's like telling you about like different Disney Channel stars and like eventually they got to the point where it's like, okay, we're gonna actually teach you what to do with the money that you're earning and like actually like finance your future and things like that. And it's like the first two generations of Disney Channel stars had no idea what to do, and their parents, there's terrible stories about them like taking the money and stuff because they don't know. And it's like the same kind of thing, except it's like worse with family vloggers because no one's looking out for you.
No, and like there's no consent, truly. Like you're too young to have that consent, and then it's in your house. Like it's not like you're going out to work and then you're coming home. Like no, it's literally everywhere. Anyways, that is a side of this book that's really interesting too, and just how Natalie uses her children for that, to portray that perfect life that she's trying so hard to achieve. And that's like her perfect life is, and we can hear her in her thoughts, and you can see that perfect life is just like a facade. Like she knows her life is not perfect, but she thinks that as long as people think it's perfect, then it means it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good segue to talk about like Natalie herself, who narrates this book. This book is in first person, and you're really in her head for the entirety of the book, which is super interesting because Caro Claire Burke does a great job of showing you immediately that the way Natalie perceives the world is so ingrained in how she was brought up. And you see the like flaws immediately in the way that Natalie perceives the world and the way she like goes about it. She's an incredible, unreliable narrator. And I think that makes the book so much more interesting because you really have to dissect what is actually happening through Natalie's filter. And I just thought that was just a really great way to write this book because she is like a terrible person. She's not a good person. And this book does a great job of making you sympathize with her.
It's just she is so cunning and so she manipulates everything, and it's just like she has such great excuses. But like she has such.
She's rationalized it in her brain.
Exactly. Like, it's so rationalized, like, her decisions that I was like, she's right. Like, no, it's not that she was right, but I was like, I can see why.
You can see how
she's getting to this point and how she's making these decisions and how she thinks this is the only option or the best way for her to deal with the situation. When logically, obviously, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's like in the framework that she's built and the way that she sees the world, she thinks, obviously, this is the only thing I can do.
Yeah.
Right? This is the only thing I can do. And constantly she's going through the world, validating her worldview based off of like her interactions with other people, especially other women, where she's like, I'm doing this and this person feels bad or is not doing great in life or whatever. And because they're suffering, my worldview is like my framework is enhanced, it's improved because what I'm doing is right and what I'm doing is good. And this person who is not doing what I'm doing is having a bad time, which means what I'm doing is good. And like things like that. Yeah, it's just done really well.
Yeah, there's like this one scene where she's talking to her mom and she's like, how do you do it? Like, how do you do everything so perfect? And her mom is like, well, my trick is just like, acts like you're always being watched, like you always be performing. So in a way, like there's so many layers to that, and this book talks a lot about religion, but like one of the things is like, oh, God is always watching, but then they're also like, there are moments where she's like, sometimes I imagine like a group of people just in my room like cheering me on and like watching all my moves. And so that's the thing, like her life isn't perfect, but as long as it appears to be, then it's fine. So
yeah, it's like a really great thing where it's like she's putting on this facade of like her life being great, and she then judges other people by their facades. And she's like, oh, well, they're doing a terrible job. Pretending. I'm doing a great job. But the thing is, she knows in her head, in her dialogue, that she knows she's not doing a great job. So she's judging herself off of her like fake facade that she's like putting out. And I think it's just a really great commentary, again, like you brought up, like on religion, where it's so many times in her head she'll say something and then be like, oh, sorry, God.
Yeah, I know. She would say like terrible things that totally go against the religion, but yeah, as long as it's not like outwardly, as long as she's not outwardly expressing it, it's okay. God will forgive. I know, like she judges like her sister and the way like her relationship is with her husband, and she judges her mom and all that, and she's like, deep down, like her life, like it's not perfect, like her relationship is not great, all that stuff is not good, but as long as she's putting that like perfect Christian woman facade, then she is like a woman of God and she's doing everything right. She's like, oh, I could never get a divorce, I could never do this, I could never do that, because that would be a sin, even though like she's having all these thoughts which would be like sinful thoughts. You know, it's just wild. And her voice, I thought the writing was so incredible for this book. Like, I'm so excited to see what else Caro Claire Burke writes, because I thought that the voice was so strong, and just her writing style was really strong. And like she used a lot of like repetition and like mix between like inner voice and like what she was saying, and the writing too, like we kind of like jump back from future and present, and it just all worked so well. Like the pacing I thought was amazing. Like the whole time I was so entertained. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I thought she, like, generally I'm so impressed by her. Like I would love to like see what else she does. I would love to see one of her interviews. Like I know, like I said at the start of the podcast, I've seen her do them on like the Late Show, like Seth Meyers. But I didn't watch it. I was like, I'd love to see like the way she talks about the book and like her process and stuff. As a side note, I listened to the audiobook of this book. Really great. I'd recommend it if you do. Because I just love listening to audiobooks that are in first person. Yeah. Because it's like, ooh, someone's telling me a little story. But whoever, I should look it up, but whoever the audiobook narrator does a great job. And I think just, again, the way that the story is written really enhances it being like told to you. Yeah. Because of the repetition, because a lot of it is like Natalie's like stream of consciousness. I think it was really good. Yeah. The audiobook narrator is Rebecca Lohman. Oh, she did a great job. Good job, Rebecca. I didn't listen to the audiobook, but I am curious to even like hear about those parts that you mentioned. Yeah. And how it sounds. And you and I both read this book really fast. Yeah. I know. It was really fast. Like it is in a way like a historical book. Yeah. And historical fiction, and like in a way, and I thought usually that takes me long. It's a literary book. Usually that takes me longer. But no, I feel like I read that in like 3 days maybe. Yeah, I'm like the same. Yeah. I was like, I could not put this book down. I was like, what is going to happen next? We like talked about doing this for the podcast, but we didn't even say like, oh, when are we going to start reading it? And suddenly you messaged me and you're like, hey, I'm already 50% for the book. I'm like, oh, I should get the book. I didn't think that was going to happen. No, that was crazy. I was like, oh, okay, gotta go to the bookstore right now. No, and I think just to like expand more about like why it was so addictive is that a lot of it is about how Natalie got to the point that she is at the start of the book, which is that she has her like media empire, she has her husband, she has her 6 kids, and it's just like what brought her to this point of being like a tradwife influencer. There's a lot of like chapters like that are like flashbacks to like her rise, and not a lot of it is the conceit of the book, which is her in 1855. Yeah. It is definitely explored. Like she wakes up in 1855 and she, has to churn butter now, and she has to like take care of the chickens now, and that is there. But the parts of this book that were really interesting to me was just like hearing more about Natalie's past. Yeah, because that also really helps us understand why she is where she is now and what's happening. And because if we only got that part, we'd be like, we can't we're not attached to her yet. Like, we don't have all those feelings. We don't understand like what she's been through to get to this point. But I liked that it wasn't, oh, we're gonna hear all about her past and then we're gonna go to 1855. Like, I liked how it got cut in between. So that made it way more interesting, because we weren't just stuck in one thing for a long time. It was a lot of back and forth. So that was very, very good job on her part to do. But that's basically it in terms of non-spoilery stuff. Like, this book has such an interesting ending, and something that surprises both so much. Like, left Shannon shocked at work.
I was sitting there in my office by myself. I just finished it before work, and I was like, now I'm expected to do my job.
Yeah. For me, I actually was at work too. I had like a couple of chapters left, and
that's how crazy this book was, by the way. I never read books at work.
And it was like a slow day for work for me, so I literally turned to my coworker who was sitting next to me, and I'm like, don't judge me, but I literally have to finish this book right now. So I was reading it, and then I was reacting and being like, oh my god. And she was, because I kind of explained to her the concept before I got into reading, and so I kept being like, dude, this is crazy. And I kept just like gasping and being so shocked. I would close the book sometimes and be like, oh my god.
You know, I finished this book, right? And the ending is a lot. And I texted my partner, and I was like, I wish you were closer, because I need like a hug right now. Like, I need something to like reset me. I was haunted by this book.
I know. Yep.
So we would recommend you read it if you have.
100%.
You totally should.
Yep. But yeah, so we're going to now tell you all about our little trip to the farm and how that made us think about that book. It's definitely a nicer farm and a nicer situation than whatever Natalie went through.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we went to the farm. We brought some of our friends along, and it was so fun. It was such a nice day. And we got to, like, one of the main things we did is we got to go to a strawberry field thing. Yeah. Some of us picked up the strawberries, and that was such a nice experience. I've never done that before, and the strawberries tasted so good, and it was such a fun thing to do.
There were so many strawberries that they had, and they were all like really good quality. And I remember we were walking away with it, and you were like, why don't we just always buy our strawberries from like the farmer's market or something? Because there is such a quality difference. And obviously it's like strawberry season when this episode is going to go up. So it was peak time for it. But I'd never gone berry picking before. And yeah, I think it was really fun. Did I mention in this episode yet that I do garden? That I am a farmer.
Oh my gosh, no, you haven't. Tell us more. We'll take a brief pause from talking about the farm to hear about Shannon's farm.
So yeah, actually, I do live that tradwife life. No, this is like my second year doing it. So I like garden. I have like a plot that I like rent out. And this year I'm growing cucumbers, tomatoes. Last year I only grew tomatoes, and I think that's a great starter plant. Sorry, these are my tips, by the way. If you're ever interested in gardening, tomatoes are so easy to start with, especially like cherry tomatoes, not even whole tomatoes. Although if you're in the right climate, I think whole tomatoes would be fine too. But cherry tomatoes are super easy and super forgiving, I think, especially if you're a first-time person. I mean, obviously you want to like take care of them, but even if you kind of like mess up, the plant will bounce back. Like, it'll be okay. Like, you'll be like, oh no, my plant's dying, all the leaves are wilting, whatever. Just water it. Just water it, girl, and it'll bounce back. But this year I'm doing tomatoes, cucumbers, beans. I already grew bok choy, so I'm kind of a farmer.
You really are.
And I do have a blackberry plant, and last year I got fruit from it. And next year I want to try growing strawberries. So,
oh my god, wait, she's Natalie.
So I kind of am Natalie, if you think about it. But yeah, I guess that's another activity that you could do if you wanted, if you have the means. I feel like even if you only have like a balcony, like if you don't have a yard or anything, if you have a balcony, there are some shade vegetables that you can still grow, and it'll still be. And I also find it super rewarding to like grow your own food, and it always tastes way better. Like, it's actually crazy how good my tomatoes taste.
Your tomatoes taste so good. Oh, I love them. We just say, like, apart from tomatoes, like, would you say is the easiest one to grow? Like, would you say like basil and stuff like that?
Definitely if you have herbs, or if you want to grow herbs, especially if you have a balcony, those are awesome on the balcony. Parsley is really good. Parsley will last the winter, It's like one of those things so you don't have to repot it every year. You should do it every 2 years. It'll last the winter. And our parsley did awesome. Like literally in like November it was thriving. Wow. So I would really recommend herbs. Yeah, tomatoes. And I really thought, like, I was trying a bunch of stuff, and, like, even if it dies, guys, it's, like, literally organic material. Like, it's okay. True. Like, I remember I was growing my bok choy, and it was, like, looking really bad for, like, half of them. I think more than half, and I was like, oh, it's over. But then, like, literally all of them bounced back, and now I have too much bok choy. I still have it, by the way.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, I would really recommend doing it if you ever thought about doing it. It's way easier, I think, than people think it is.
Nice. And you started all of them with like seeds, right? Like it wasn't.
No.
Okay.
This I actually would not recommend starting from seeds because it's a lot of work. Because you have to start usually indoors with seeds because it's too cold to like some of them. Like tomatoes, for example, you don't want to directly sow them because the soil won't be hot enough to do it. So you want to start tomatoes indoors. But then like I have a cat, so I can't really grow stuff indoors because my apartment's not very big. I went to a plant nursery and I bought small like 2-inch tall plants, and then I transplanted them into my thing. And I've done that for all my plants. And that's worked out pretty well for me so far.
Nice. I wish I could do that, but I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I do have like a little front patio, but I don't get any sunlight, so none of these things would grow.
I think you could still
do herbs?
You could definitely still do some herbs. Like you definitely could. Like,
maybe I could try that.
Yeah. Like definitely parsley I would recommend. Rosemary loves sun. I tried growing rosemary on my balcony. Didn't work. Did not thrive. I put it like in like full sun in my garden bed and now it's way better. But like also like if you're in the city, they have like community gardens. At least the city we live in has a lot of those. So
that's true.
You can always think about those too if you're interested.
Yeah. Fun.
Anyways, we should go back to the farm.
Back to the farm. Yeah, no, it was so nice. So apart from like the strawberries, one of the like key things we wanted to see were the animals, and they had such cute animals in this one. They obviously had the chickens. We saw the little ladies.
Hello, little ladies. They were so cute.
Yeah, I know. They had a lot of goats. And they had like baby goat, so cute. They had like the Highland, were they Highland cows?
Highland cows, yeah.
Highland cows, and they had a baby too. It was so cute, and we got to like pet them. They had, was it llama or alpaca?
Yeah, alpacas.
Alpacas. They had like a donkey and like, what is the name of, like ponies.
Oh, they had mini horses. Mini horses? I don't think they're ponies. Okay. I think they're a specific type of horse. But yeah.
Very small. And then they had like a peacock.
They had a pheasant. Yeah. The goats were really funny. They had one sheep.
They did, yeah. Oh, it was so cute. And then we got to pet like some of them, and it was just so cute seeing them in a farm. I don't usually go to a farm. You don't usually see these animals out and about, so it was kind of fun to.
Did you have a favorite animal?
Probably the Highland cows. Like, you can't go wrong with a Highland cow. Mm-hmm. I love cows so much. So it was so cute. And yeah, the baby was adorable. Like, the baby for the most part was just lying down. And then at some point it like stood up and started walking kind of towards us. And it didn't come all the way, but it was so cute. So that was my favorite. But yeah, they had like some other things too. Like they had this huge, like, not trampoline, but like
illegally distinct from a trampoline,
bouncy inflatable thing, and and we all got up there and we're jumping. That was so fun.
Oh yeah.
That's not really farm related, but they just had that.
Yeah. We did a wine tasting at the farm because they make their own fruit wine using the fruit that they grow. And that was really good because I don't think I've ever had a fruit wine tasting. And they had some really good ones. Yeah. And we got a couple bottles.
Yeah. You got the raspberry, right?
I got the raspberry, yeah.
Yeah, I got a raspberry one and I got a strawberry raspberry. We had food there too. We just got to like spend the day there and hang out with our friends. Obviously, it's not even close to what Natalie went through. But it's cool just imagining like what would a life in a farm be like, or a life like living like that, like growing your own food. And
I think like obviously the way that Natalie's life is depicted in the book, like you said, it was nothing like the farm we went to. It was not like that. But I think like even if you're interested in like the kind of ideals of it, which is like growing your own food, being like more independent, is definitely possible.
Yeah.
And even if like you're not in, oh my God, where was it? Idaho.
Stars on ice. Either Illinois or Idaho. I think it's Idaho.
Even if you're not in Idaho, like you have a giant farm on Idaho or whatever, like you can be living in the city and still like do that kind of stuff, and it's still like super rewarding when you do that kind of stuff. And if you like aren't forced to do it by the patriarchy.
Oops. Not even just like growing your food, but yeah, just like reconnecting with like kind of like that sort of stuff, like animals and just like being outside, especially in the summer. I think going to a farm is such a like a nice activity to do with your friends. And I mean, it depends on where you live. Like, I think we're lucky enough that we have like close enough farms that we can go to. Like, there's some specific like berry farms that we really like around here. But yeah, so if you don't have that, then I don't know what to tell you. But
if you have the opportunity,
definitely go, because it was really, really nice. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for our activity.
Yeah.
So now we're going to jump into spoilers. So if you haven't read the book, please leave, because we really don't want you to know anything.
Yeah.
We don't know anything.
You really should read this book.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
So we're going to go basically like chronological order.
In her life. Yeah, not in the book. Order.
You'll see. But yeah, first we want to talk about like Natalie's past and like how she grew up, which was like really interesting. So she actually gets accepted to Harvard,
which is wild.
Yeah.
Already something that I wasn't expecting at all.
She's from like a pretty like rural area. She's not from Idaho, is she?
Well, I think so, because doesn't her mom kind of live around that area?
So she's also from Idaho as well.
Possibly.
Yeah. But she's like smart enough that she's able to get like a scholarship to go to Harvard, which already like shows us at the start of the book, she's like running her church meetings. She's like very proactive, and she's very, very smart.
Yeah. But she is not having the best time at college.
No.
Like she automatically gets this roommate, Rena, that is very different than her, and like all the girls in the dorm are very different, because Natalie was super like sheltered and like very religious, and she expects to find people that are like all intellectual and like proper and just like her. But then she gets there and like everyone's like partying, and people are coming into her bedroom and like doing like pre-gaming and partying and like throwing up on her rug and stuff like that, and she's like not having a good time.
Yeah, but I also think something's really interesting is there's this scene in the book where she's talking to someone who's also in like a religious studies class that she's in, and they're like, oh yeah, I know you, Natalie, you got into like an argument with the professor about how women are inferior to men and like blah blah, and you brought receipts and stuff, and the professor was annoyed at you. And at that point Natalie kind of deflates, like she's like, oh, I thought I was having an intellectually stimulating conversation. But it's like, did you, or were you just, again, emphasizing your worldview and weren't really interested in having an actual debate? Like with...
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, like, even though she's, like, still, like, pretty smart, she's not really interested in changing.
Yeah.
She's just, like, presented with a worldview that contradicts hers, and she's like, oh, this sucks. Like, I hate this. I don't like this.
Yeah, because she's very much that, oh, my way is perfect. My way is correct.
Yeah.
Like, everyone here is living in sin.
Yeah. I really like her roommate, Rena, and like just the role that she plays throughout the story, because Natalie doesn't like her very much. No. But she just like represents how different of a life Natalie could have had. Yeah. And Natalie's just kind of, she starts becoming kind of obsessed with Rena.
She kind of uses her as just like something to compare herself to throughout her whole life. Yeah. She's always going to go back to Rena. She's always going to be like, okay, Rena's probably doing this and this and this. Or I stalked Rena on Instagram and she like just lost her job. And like, so I'm so much better than her. So I think that, because for that first bit when she was living in that dorm, she was having such a awful time that she's like, she now needs to prove that she's better.
Natalie doesn't have any friends. Like they even say to her, they're like, we know that you judge us. We know that you don't like us very much. So, you know, we're not going to like you very much. And this kind of starts her like just having no friends like in this book. And it's very difficult for her to like make connections later on in this book.
Yeah, and then soon enough, she meets Caleb in the church event.
Boo,
Caleb. And literally, they talk about marriage in like the third date.
They've known each other for like 2 weeks, I think.
And then they get engaged.
Yeah.
And then married. And then she gets pregnant really fast. Like, I think she's still in her sophomore year at university.
I think she's pregnant. She's 19 years old.
That's crazy.
And like, Rena sees that she's pregnant, I think, and she's like, are you okay?
Yeah, but Natalie is all like, oh, I'm so much better because me and Caleb live in our own apartment outside of school and I'm pregnant and blah, blah, blah. And that's just how she sees a successful life to be.
Yeah.
Like, she already has like a husband. She already has a husband who comes from like money. But soon enough, she already realizes that Caleb's useless.
Yeah. And then she drops out immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Like after like the first year, she's like, okay, dropping out.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting because it's, again, like kind of paradoxical where it's like, oh, she sees herself as very smart. She is presented as very smart, but it's like, you still didn't finish your studies, you know, like you still didn't like do all these other things that you were potentially interested in, but you still kind of like quote unquote threw it all away.
Yeah, girl, you like dropped out of Harvard.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. Don't do that.
So she gets pregnant. She gives birth to her first daughter, Clementine. Already she's having difficulties being a mother. It's not as like she imagined it to be, which is like she imagined that it would be like fulfilling her purpose to God, where it's like, now I've done the thing that I've been put on this earth to do, which is give birth. But she's really having trouble connecting with this child. And it's very obvious to like the reader that she definitely has some form of like postpartum depression.
I know that scene where she's like, there's something wrong. She tells her mom, there's something wrong. Like, this is not my child. This is not my baby. This isn't her. Like, there's something wrong. Like, there has been a mistake.
Yeah. But
and no one really took care of her in that moment and said the right thing, which is really upsetting.
Yeah. This is like a great example of this point in the story, which is just like her mom being like, you were made to do this, so you're going to do this. So which is like, get up, Natalie. Like, you're going to take care of the baby. This is what you have to do. And it's kind of nobody taking the like seriousness of her situation seriously.
Yeah.
And like discounting like her experiences, because it's like, don't worry, we all go through this. It's okay.
Yeah, this is, I think, when she talks about the faking and like the performing.
Yeah, with her mom. Yeah. I really like the mom character, which is just like, you can see how damaged Natalie is because of the way that her mom views the world, which got passed down to her.
Yeah, and then you'd think that like maybe if Natalie had gotten that help, like she would have been able to like get through it and, you know, love Clementine, which she just never does. Like, she never actually feels that attachment to Clementine. In fact, she like calls Clementine a bitch a bunch of times. And as like a little child. Like, for her, the rest of her life. She says, I think when she's like a little, after she gives birth, she's like, I'll fake it and I'll love her. Like, I'll pretend my very best to love her. But she's not gonna love her.
Yeah, and I think around this time, her sister also gives birth. Yeah. So they're both kind of like new moms kind of together. And you can tell that her sister's also having a really difficult time.
Scene, oh my God.
And like, you can tell her trying to make like a genuine connection with Natalie, which is just like, this is tough. Like, I'm going to admit that it's tough. Yeah. And Natalie just being like, you can't admit that. You can't say that. Like, that's not right. No. That's not what your purpose is. You're supposed to like love this. We're supposed to to love every minute of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was really sad.
I know. Very upsetting. But yeah, so soon after, I think she lives with her mom for a little while, and then she just starts noticing that Caleb is not making any moves to get a job.
Yes.
And to provide. And he says like fair things where he's like, they just graduated, and he's like, I don't know what I want to do yet. Like, I still have to think about it or whatever. But then, which is fair. But then now, because they're in a situation where they already have a family, and this is like what they did. So now, and especially if they are seeing each other in this traditional sense and traditional family sense, he's the one that has to start providing, especially because she's at home with the baby. And he's just not making any moves to do that, which is really frustrating for her. And for me, I was very frustrated. I don't even think Caleb really ever had a view of a traditional life, like the way that she did, like the role of the husband and the role of the wife. Like, I don't think, like, at one point in one of their dates, they talked about like living on a farm, but that was kind of it. Like, I think she just projected this whole life and she expected him to fill that role, but that was just not him.
Yeah, no, I hate Caleb. Caleb Haler's here.
Hate Caleb.
But at this point, yeah, he is religious. Like, he comes from a religious background, but what he is like a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
He is given all the money an opportunity and time in the world to like mess up over and over and over again. Like his father lines up job interviews for him and he can't land any of it. And he gets to the point where he's like, goes to Natalie one day and is like, oh, I've discovered my calling. I want to be a kindergarten teacher. I want to do this. And he keeps like, no, this is going to be it. Now, in the book, Natalie, like, rebuffs this because in her worldview, like, Caleb can't be a kindergarten teacher. That's, like, women's work, you know? Like, that's, like, a very feminine job profession, and Caleb can't do that. So she, like, suggests the farm to him. But also, I watched this video essay by Savvy Writes Books. A really awesome video essay that breaks down the themes of this book. But later on, when Caleb is given the opportunity to actually, like, homeschool his kids... like actually be a kindergarten teacher and like take care of his kids, he doesn't do it.
No.
He doesn't give them an education. So it's like...
Give them a whack education. Like the stuff that he was assigning and like the curriculums and stuff, that's...
So like even though maybe being a kindergarten teacher would have been Caleb's calling, but it's like he would not have put in the effort to like actually do that because not everything can come naturally to him.
Yeah, that he didn't have that in him.
No, and he just never had the work ethic to actually work a day in his life.
Yeah, and for Natalie, it wasn't even about that money because like his dad was just giving them money and stuff. It was literally about him not performing the role of a man in the household. Like he had to have a job and he was not providing. Even if he was being handed the money, that was so like awful to her that she was like losing her mind. And then so eventually they move into the parents' home because they think that his parents are going to do something about it. And then it turns out they were the ones hoping that she was going to like do something about it, which is... listen, send your son that you didn't raise right to a woman, expect her to like fix everything. Like,
no.
And during that time too, this is when we realized that his mom is like super... also not doing super well either.
No.
She's like takes... pills and stuff to kind of just numb herself, and she even like gives them to Natalie.
Yeah, no, I really liked that part of the book. But Amelia, she takes pills to like cope with like everything that's happening in like her life, and she gives some to Natalie, and then it just assumes because Natalie sort of is starting to like try to do better with Clementine and stuff, like she assumes Natalie has also started taking it, and Natalie's like, well, I would never take it, like I don't need pills, I don't need drugs to help me or whatever. In her mindset, a very like anti like mental health like mindset that she has. But the point is there is something out there that would help you, but Amelia is so far off that she's just taking whatever, like she's craving whatever to help her, but you won't even entertain the fact that there is stuff that could help you in your situation, but you're not taking the steps to like figure out what it is. But then I think it was when he started talking about the kindergarten thing is when she was like, okay, we're gonna get the farm. And then they finally got the farm, and they got like this really brand new farm, and they changed everything to make it look more like the olden times, not fully, but she would hide all the like big appliances and make things like just more rustic, I guess. And it's also when she starts like posting on Instagram, and also like a heinous thing, which is that she needs to get a loan from her father-in-law for frankly a crazy amount of money, $5 million, to start the farm up, and he does. In exchange, she will have more kids with Caleb, which is like, again, you could see that she didn't have the best time with her daughter. And at this point now, she just starts having kids with Caleb because that's kind of what's like expected of her, and like will fulfill her purpose. And it's like crazy to think like if that didn't happen, maybe she would have stopped with like one kid and she would have been happier, and she would have like, you know, learned. It would have been difficult for her, but she would have learned. But it's like now she starts having like a lot of kids like really quickly. And she never gets attached to any of them.
No, they just kind of
it's so
become
sad.
These beings. And then eventually she gets like nannies. So she doesn't even like, sometimes she sees her children and she doesn't even like recognize them.
That's her kid. It's so sad to like see her get to that point in her life.
And she starts getting very obsessive with this influencing thing. So she wakes up at like 5 in the morning, and she like, because she did a couple of videos, and then she got like some hate comments, basically, like being like, oh, she doesn't look this way or whatever, and the lighting's not this way. So she would literally wake up at like 5 a.m., get all this stuff, and then she just would barely sleep. And there was that one scene too where Clementine goes to find him and Caleb in the farm, in like the barn or whatever, and Caleb comes back and she's like, hey, Clementine just told me that she hasn't eaten yet. And it was like 9 p.m. and Natalie was so out of it because she was so focused on like her little like videos and stuff, and even she looks at the baby monitor just to make sure that she put the baby to bed because she barely even remembered doing that. She starts losing herself like very quickly. Like she was already obviously very mentally ill, but at that point, like she gets so addicted to it all. I think that's when they decide to get the nanny.
Yeah. So yeah, now that she's become like an influencer, one of the things that she like has to like grapple with is like hate comments and like the angry women that she like trademarks and what she calls them, and how they like don't understand like the lifestyle that she is living. And she even says like she has 2 like burner accounts that she uses to like reply to these women like online and stuff. But the part of this that I really liked was that whenever she ran into like a fan, which happens sometimes in the book, like she would go to like the grocery store and like she would run into someone who did enjoy her content and like would want to talk to her. But anytime she described this interaction, it would always be like, all right, remember, smile, like remember to smile, remember to like do this, and like remember to that you're acting again like for her, and the way that she describes it. And even then she can tell she's not making any kind of meaningful connections with like any fan that she comes across, where it's like, oh, now I can see like the way that their eyes change, which is like, oh, you could see the gears in their head turning, like they're not gonna like me anymore because now they've met me and I'm not like the person they think I am. And I think it's a crazy mindset to have, where it's like you can be recognized at any point that you have to like be turned on. And that scene in particular, I think she says like something that was so like not right to say, but it's something that like she thinks in her, and then the person just like looks a little offended and she's like, oh, wrong thing to say, like she's saying in her head, like she's just trying to like bring it back, like what do we say to fix this. She's always on, she's always like trying to think of what to do. That scene is also crazy because that's the scene where she goes to the parking lot and the woman runs into her again, and then she's like putting stuff in the back seat of in the back of the car, and then there's like a noise inside, and then she turns to the woman, she's like, oh yeah, baby Jess is here, and then the woman's like, did you leave your child in the car? That was an awesome scene. That was, because you know that she brought Jessa, because she's talking about like putting her in the car seat and stuff, and then she calls her father-in-law, and then she gets to the store, and then the baby's not described in the store, and then only later on do you realize, oh, she did not bring the baby. And on the writing, it's like when she says that, did you not bring the baby, or did you leave the baby in the car, the writing is literally just a bunch of no, oh no, like the writing was so interesting for her inner thoughts. The whole thing with the smiling, which is something that Clementine eventually like talks about, is like, why are you always smiling, like we're having an argument right now and you're still smiling, just because she can't even like regulate herself anymore. She doesn't even know how to behave as a normal person. And it's like one of those things where it's like, again, we've reached this point in the book where it's like, it's sad to read about like all this stuff happening to Natalie, but she did this. She was the one who was like, let's do the farm, let's do this, let's have these children, let's do this, and she's making choices every time. She built the choices to get to the hell that she is currently in. Like I was sitting here being like, it's sad, but it's like I understand fully how she got here, and she got here herself. Like at any point she could have gotten off the cycle. And it's very interesting because you do hear about the women in her life that do break out of the cycle. Like for example, her sister at this point in the story has gotten a divorce from her husband, and Natalie has kind of withdrawn like relations from her sister because she's like, oh, my sister got a divorce, you know, like that's sin. That's such a sin. You can't do that. You have to stay with your husband, even though your husband might be stupid and not take care of your kids, and like all these internal feelings that Natalie is having about Caleb that she kind of projects onto her sister, and her sister being like, no, this was good for me, you know? And like, I had to like unlearn everything that I was taught. But now that Abigail has broken out and Natalie can't, she's like, oh, but now my sister's miserable. Now she's not having a good time, you know? Because even though she is struggling with her divorce, Natalie sees her unhappiness and thinks, now I'm better in comparison. It's so crazy.
yeah, I think the final thing before we jump into the 1855 of it all is the arrival of Shannon, who's like,
me,
Shannon, which is so funny. I think Shannon's what, 20?
She's like 20.
Something? Yeah. And she's like a producer that's coming to live with them, which is crazy. That's just crazy, you know? But I guess Natalie's also pretty young, so it doesn't feel that weird to her. But Shannon comes in. She's got like bright pink hair. She's very different from like the style, but she comes in and she immediately is already like, oh, this is not what you put online. Like, oh, you have help. Oh, you have this and that. Like, that's not. She takes photos and everything. But she does start getting right away to helping Natalie with the accounts. So, and then she gets like all the passwords to the accounts. She gets everything. So she's very much like in there now. And then there's a point where they go to an event for her father-in-law's political campaign because he's like a big conservative political guy. Yeah. And Shannon, that like really startles Shannon. And then she ends up later like getting a bit of like a friendship with Caleb, and she starts talking about it because Caleb is like so stupid. Caleb is one of those people that spends his entire day on Reddit and like YouTube and like believing anything that anyone says.
Conspiracy theories. Yeah.
And because Natalie just doesn't even believe that Caleb is capable of like a single thought, she doesn't even like talk to him normally. No. And so because Shannon starts giving him that attention, she's questioning the things that he's saying. They end up kind of building a relationship and eventually like cheating and like having like a sexual relationship.
This scene in the book where Natalie confronts Shannon is where like shit starts like going down in the book, basically, because then you really start to realize the disconnect between Natalie's reality and like what is like actually happening, to the point where you and I had different interpretations of like what was happening in this scene. Yeah. So Natalie assaults Shannon like in the book, and she like chokes her out because Shannon says something about Caleb not being hard when they have sex, and she like kind of like blacks out and like has her like fingers on top of her, fingers around her throat, like choking her out, and then she realizes what she's doing and she stops. But then Shannon resigns, and later on you find out that she's doing like an expose like style interview about her time working with Natalie and her family. And when she does this interview, first off, like she gets like lawyers in because they say that it's about like the assault that allegedly happened. Like Shannon says, like, we're going to talk about like an alleged assault that happened. So she gets lawyers in, she's like preparing for the worst, and she's watching the interview with Caleb and her father-in-law and her father-in-law's like lawyer team. And when Shannon's talking about it, Shannon frames it as if it were a sexual assault, which is really interesting. Yeah. Because when I read the scene the first time, I thought it was a sexual assault because of the Natalie's narration in the scene, which is that the scene's already kind of weird, which is that Shannon was like getting dressed, and so her pants are like unbuttoned. And then Natalie kind of like barges in, and in the scene where she's like getting choked down, her pants are like down to her ankles, and there's a line where she talks about Shannon's underwear. So I was like, is something happening here? And I was so like convinced that when Shannon brought up again that it was a sexual assault, I was like, oh, we're making the subtext text. Like we're just saying it now. But you didn't read it like that.
No, I didn't even at all. When Shannon said that, I was like, she's lying. But also because I was so like, it's so interesting reading a book where the main character is the villain, because you end up kind of being on their side. Like, I don't know. That's happened with like other books to me before. And like, I obviously know what she's doing is wrong and all that. So when Shannon was like, I was like, she's ruining everything. And then she was saying those things and I was like, she's lying. Like, she didn't sexually assault him. Why would she say that? But I don't know anymore. Like, I still don't think so when I read it.
I think that's like, there's definitely like,
there's like different ways
interpretation of like reading that.
It's not like obvious.
No. It's definitely not obvious.
Yeah. But I almost could see that like Shannon saw it that way, and it wasn't necessarily Natalie's intent, and Natalie was already so like crazy at that point. Like she just didn't have any control of her actions, that she came across a certain way. But I personally don't see why she would do that, but I know you have different thoughts.
I have different thoughts about like Natalie's opinions on like sexuality and like her sexuality and like the obsession that she has with like her roommate, for example, and like projecting that obsession on Shannon. And at that moment in my head, I was like, I saw that interpretation of her like physically like overpowering Shannon and like potentially sexually assaulting her as like gaining like power in like that relationship. And also like there are moments in the story where she like says very specific lines like where she's talking about Rena, where she's like, oh, Rena's the kind of person who would like watch lesbian porn next to her sleeping husband. And I'm like, well, that's a very specific that's a specific example that you're bringing up. And I think either way, whether it's like a sexual assault or like a physical assault, I think Natalie's reaction to Shannon's allegations are still like really telling, where it's like, guys, don't worry, like obviously she's lying because I'm not gay. Yeah. You guys don't think I'm gay, right? Because that is the worst thing. Yeah, that she could be. That she could ever be.
Not like someone who assaults someone.
No.
But gay, yeah.
But someone who is gay and someone who is like, the idea of being gay damages like her entire facade of being a mother, of being a like wife, of being like, you know, like that kind of thing, where it's like just that concept shatters her entire worldview. Yeah. And that's the like the worst thing that can happen to her. And also the thing I loved, which is like something I feel like books don't really get into, is like the next part where it's like the lawyers trying to figure out what they were due. And it's like, oh, it would have been better if your husband had raped our producer.
I know. Oh.
Which is like a terrible sentiment to like bring up, but it's like immediately you can be like, I kind of, I see it, because if Caleb had done it, they could brush it aside and everything would be forgotten. But because it's
Caleb
like,
is not the one like with that. Caleb is not the face of their just like Instagram. He's not the face of the Yesteryear farm. So yeah, it's not who people like. Natalie doing something like that like automatically shows how what she's been putting out is fake.
Yeah, it's like, oh, if the repressed Christian girl did it, then you can't hide it anymore. Yeah. And yeah, I just thought that book and that scene in the book was like really chilling and really like realistic if like something like that was going to happen.
And something that we learned around that scene too is we see it before when she's talking to her father-in-law about this whole thing. She's like talking to him on the phone, and then suddenly he like asks a question, and she has one of her little inner monologues where she's like calling him like a bunch of terrible things and being like, you're so fucking stupid, blah, blah, blah. And then there's silence, and then she realizes she said that out loud. And she's been having all of these inner monologues throughout the whole book, and we just kind of assume that it's been like inside her head the whole time. And I'm like, oh shit, like she said that out loud. I wonder what else she has said. And when Shannon's doing that interview, there's a video that's shown with Clementine, and it's when they're in the car after one of the times they go to the Target. Yes. And she's like, I think Clementine's the one filming, and she's filming, and Natalie's just sitting there. She's saying all these awful things out loud, and this is like part of one of the inner monologues that we thought were just in her head, but she's saying all these terrible things. And then she turns and she's like, she pulled out her phone and she's like, okay guys, how was your day? But like we just saw her saying all these awful things in front of her children and everything. So that like really that's already ruining her image totally. So
yeah, that's crazy, because it really makes you recontextualize everything that Natalie has said in the book, where it's like, now we just don't know if what Natalie is saying is in her head or if she's said it out loud. Like, again, like, as I said, like, Rena at the start of the book was like, we hear the mutterings you do under your breath. Like, they might be hearing, maybe not all of it, but definitely some of it. And it's like, Natalie just doesn't know what she's doing. So we're going to jump to like the 1855 plot, which we haven't touched on at all, kind of at this point. So when she gets to 1855, she was pregnant at the start of this book. She's not pregnant anymore. And she has 4 children. The oldest of which, they all have different names. So the oldest of which is Mary. And her husband is there, but he's like slightly different. So she calls him like older Caleb because he looks kind of older. And like she thinks it's like some sort of reality show. Yeah. And Mary is like probably like 12 years old. And she is the one who's like the woman of the house, where she's like has to take care of now her mother, who's like having like a mental breakdown. And she's like, get yourself together. We need to like do things around the house.
Yeah, because Natalie just thinks she's been kidnapped. Or like she thinks this is just like a joke, and she thinks that at some point some people are gonna come up with cameras, and there are moments where like things are happening to her and she's like, they wouldn't show this on TV. There's no way. This is like someone's gonna show up at any moment. They have to stop this. And then things happen and you're like, well, maybe reality shows at this point would show like a man abusing his wife, and like she keeps trying to rationalize it, and like she thinks, and she keeps like trying to run away, and she keeps like Caleb like hits her, he runs after her and hits her, and then there's a point where she gets stuck into like a trap, and then they have to like Mary was just crazy because she was ordering her around, and like it was so hard to get what was going on. Like I could not tell what was going on at that point. Like I just thought it was like I don't know. I thought she was like in a coma or something, and that was a dream, and then she was gonna wake up, and that was, she like learned a lesson in that dream. But as time kept going, I'm like, I don't think this is a dream anymore, but I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. It always, when I was reading the book, I was always so confused about Mary. Yeah. Because I was like, the way she's talking and the way she's acting is like not the way a daughter would talk to her mother. Yeah. Especially like an 1855 girl, you know? Like the way they are talking is so casual, where it's like, get yourself together now, we have to do this thing. Yeah. That I'm like, something's happening. Like, I don't know what this is. I don't know if I ever thought it was like actual time travel, but I was like, geez, definitely something is happening.
I know. There's a moment when Mary calls her Natalie.
Yes.
And I was like, and then when Caleb calls her Natty, and I'm like, wait, so are they, like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's
like, that took me out. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, there's definitely moments where it's like, this doesn't feel like 1855, but if it's not 1855, like, what is it?
And it was just so crazy because she was like claiming all these things about like being kidnapped and like, you guys are not my children and stuff. And yeah, they were kind of like being like, yes, mom, we're children. Yes, mama, like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. Like, this is a repeated thing that's been happening. Like, and I think maybe I should have realized that sooner, because I was just confused. I was like, why are they acting like this is normal? Like, what was Natalie before she woke up in this place? Like, I was waiting for Natalie to ask them, like, what was I doing before? Like, how was I with you a month ago? And was I here? Like, she didn't ask these questions. And which I thought was interesting. And yeah, I think that really tells, like, if you really pay attention, it tells you that this is a common occurrence. Like, she's been there for a while, and she has been acting this way for a while, and they're just used to it. And they're being like, okay, mama, you're going to be fine. Just do these things. Even Caleb was just like, yeah.
Caleb was, talk about Caleb.
Now that we know what was going on,
like Caleb's actions in 1855, crazy.
I know. I think it was interesting how there were moments where she was like, okay, this is a test. God is testing me, and I have to just, go back to what she used to do, like pretend, like let me fake this is okay. So she would be like, she got really attached to Maeve, which was the little girl, the youngest child, and she would go with her all the time to get the chickens, and she would like make little clothes for the chickens and everything. And then sometimes she would like have another episode where she'd be like, this isn't real. Like, she would try to run away, and then she would like go back, and then she would just live that life. And then another thing that she just kept being like, I have to escape. I can't live here. I can't be here. I can't be here when Maeve eventually moves out, when Mary eventually moves out. I can't be here alone with Caleb, and I can't get pregnant. And that was a big fear of her, because eventually, at first, Caleb's not sleeping in the same room as her, and then eventually he goes there and he starts like basically raping her.
Yes.
Yeah. And then just to think about the fact that Caleb was never hard once, and he couldn't even like have sex with her in the past or like before times.
Yeah.
And then now suddenly he's hard and he's having sex with her that way when she's like struggling and like feeling like she's being raped, like acting like she's being raped and everything. Disgusting, that man.
Yeah. So Natalie does like stop having her period. Which is like one of those things which renews her, like, she's like, I can't give birth again. I can't be pregnant again, which renews her resolve to like get off the farm. And Maeve falls sick.
Yes.
So she's like, okay, I'm just going to take Maeve and we're going to go find a doctor. And then she goes to the neighbors.
Because, just going back, that's another thing. When the neighbor showed up, I was like, what is happening?
Oh, yeah.
And when she was on the table with them, she was like, these people have kidnapped me. Like, I'm here against my will. And they don't react. I'm like, what is going on? And then just going back to the Maeve thing, when she was sick, I totally, like, for the longest time, I thought she was taking Maeve. I thought she was carrying Maeve through the forest. She was not.
No.
Like, Maeve was not with her. And I was like, I kept picturing it up until she got into the house. I was like, where's Maeve? Like, I thought she was taking Maeve to a doctor. But yeah, she like makes it to the neighbors. And that's when I was at the office. In my office. And I'm like, shut up. When she like sees the truck in that house. Oh my god.
So she sees like a truck, she sees a radio, she sees a picture of her.
She sees a sign on the door that says Manosphere.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking kidding me?
And then she goes in and the neighbor sees her and calls her mama. And she like doesn't recognize him.
Yeah. Even then I didn't realize what was happening.
No, I didn't know either.
I didn't know.
I had no idea who that guy was.
No.
So then she leaves, and then like Caleb like runs out to her and is like, oh, Natalie, you know, are you running away again? You know, like, did you bring Maeve with you? It's like, oh, good thing you didn't take her off the farm because she's not vaccinated. And it's like, wait a minute. Vaccinated.
I know, right? When he said vaccinated, I was like, they didn't have.
Sir, it is 1855.
Yeah, I was losing my shit.
So very quickly, and I was like, what were you talking about? And then someone shows up on the farm in a car, and it looks like Natalie.
Yeah, she's like a clone of me shows up.
And I was like, a clone? No.
Bro, that was crazy.
But it's not a clone.
No.
Because it's Clementine. It's Clementine, who's like in her 30s, I think.
Yeah, 20s, 30s, yeah.
Like definitely late 20s, must be like early 30s. And that's when we finally realize that everything that was happening in what we thought was quote unquote 1855 is actually
the
like
future.
18 years in the future.
Yeah, and Mary is the baby that she was pregnant with.
At the start of the book.
Which we should have known because she said the name of the baby was Mary.
Yes.
The signs were there. But that's just a crazy story that I wouldn't even have considered, to be honest.
Yeah. So we find out that after the incident with Shannon, the family basically had to like lie low. They like lost their media empire. There was nowhere to recover from it.
Yeah, they just started like going more and more traditional, being like, we're going to stop using like social media. We're going to stop going out. And then like, I don't know why it got so severe. Like it got to the extent where they started like doing more and more adjustments in the house and taking basically anything that was modern out. And getting the clothes, she ordered like a bunch of these cotton clothes and she cut off the tags and everything. And then like her family and everyone was like trying to be like, what are you doing? Like that's too much, like her mom and everything. And the breaking point was when they they took out the bathroom and they made the outhouse. Dude.
It was like, we're going to start like, you know, actually being like the lives of the people that we're actually like pretending to do. We're actually going to try to do this. And it's just going to be for the summer. It's just going to be like a short little while. It's going to be a family bonding activity. And then you realize that Clementine, at 16 years old, took the children and left.
Because at that point, she must have been like, what, 13? Because I think she was 12 at the beginning of the book.
Yes.
So she must have been like maybe 13, 14 when they got that intense.
Yes.
Imagine going through that. And they just were losing it. Like, they were just crazy. And yeah, she took the children.
Yeah.
Except Mary.
Yeah. Also at this point, I think it's important to note that after the whole incident with Shannon, Natalie starts taking the drugs, the actual drugs that her like mother-in-law had offered her at the start of the book. She starts taking it. So now she's really like out of it, like in these next kind of few years, which kind of like explains the kind of choices that she's making. And Caleb is also like, oh, I'll go along with it. Sure, whatever. Crazy guy.
Caleb like really steps up to the role of the man because him like hitting her the way that he did and just like, you know, raping her and doing all these things like.
And then you realize that was Caleb.
That was Caleb, yeah.
So Clementine takes the kids away. So all that's left is baby Mary. And then you realize that since this was like, you know, like all that she has left is Mary, they start having more kids. And they start like really like living in solitary and living like that 1855 life. And you realize that so in these like years that have happened, Natalie has sort of been like in and out of it due to the drugs that she's been taking. You also realize that they have been drugging her.
I know, yeah. So they keep giving her like that syrup thing to be like, oh, you're You're gonna feel better.
You're gonna feel better. Like, she's drinking stuff that Mary would give her, that Caleb would give her throughout the books. And it's just to calm her down, to like, and then you realize that's why she's having these episodes of like not remembering that this is her life and really thinking that it's 1855, which is why she's had that thought in like the entire book.
And Caleb, he spends his whole fucking day, like, he acts like he's out there on the farm, like, working with the kids. He goes to like the Manosphere house with like Stetson and Samuel, like his older kids, and he just spends the whole day there watching TV, and then he comes back. And then when Abel was like old enough, 13, like, he takes Abel there to like tell him the truth. So that's why Abel's so excited. It's just so gross that he does that, because that's the thing, like, they're not living the historically accurate. Like, why are they doing this? Right? Like, why is Caleb doing this? Like, at that point, just stop. And Clementine, I'm sure she was like calling CPS, wasn't she? Like,
she was trying to get people to come to her house, because this was the craziest part to me in the book, which is that, so Clementine, now that she's older, all the kids have sort of been living kind of around. So like I said, Stetson and Samuel were the neighbors, and they were like giving food to like Caleb to like, you know, help them out. But Clementine was like, we have to get Child Protective Services here, because I've been watching the children that you're having, the 4 children, and they are malnourished. They are like uneducated. And you find out that Mary is 18 years old.
And Maeve is what, 12?
And Maeve is 10, 12 years old.
And she acts like she's like 4. Like, we think she's 4.
4 years old. And you think that like Mary's like 12. And it's like, oh my gosh. Like, you realize how actually like, malnourished, uneducated, like the way these children, unvaccinated, the way these children have been mistreated.
And Natalie's like, oh, I'm pregnant. Like, I don't want to be pregnant. Like, girl, you're not pregnant. You're like 50 years old.
She doesn't know.
She doesn't know because there are no mirrors in the house.
Yes. That she's just going through menopause. So at the end of the book, Clementine has a warrant. Like, it's taken her years, and which is like also just a depressing reality of like how long it takes to like actually get help from when there's actual crisis happening. So she goes, and like she did previously, she goes and takes the 4 kids and puts them in the car, and she drives away. And like the most like haunting thing is Natalie, I think, at the end of this book, like pleading to Clementine, being like, don't leave me alone on the farm with him. Don't leave me alone. Don't leave me alone. Like, I can't be alone. And it's like, oh my god,
no.
It's depressing to see Natalie reach the point where it's like, I was telling you this at the start, where it's like the most depressing thing to me is that no one helped Natalie here, but you understand because she drove away all her connections. That she was mean to everybody that she met, but she had no one that could come check in on her and like help her at this point. But she also wasn't accepting any help.
Oh no. She was fully like being a terrible daughter, a terrible like sister, a terrible everything. Like, she was so mean and awful to people. Then like, and I'm sure they tried, but until it got to a point that like, we can't help you. And like, I don't even know if they knew that she had like all these other children. Like, maybe, I guess they did because Clementine knew, and the brothers knew. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, did no one else try to go get them? Like, I guess no one at that point. No one cared anymore. They didn't want to like go through it. And
they didn't really have any neighbors because they were so rural, and they didn't like, the kids obviously didn't go to school or anything. So it's like, without actively already having knowledge of the family, it's like, and all the people who did have knowledge of the family didn't want anything to do with them. So it's like, it's just so sad.
It's so sad because at the end of the day, like, those children they suffered so much. So it was really upsetting.
There is an epilogue of this book where you realize that Natalie has gone to jail.
Good.
For child abuse, for like animal abuse, for things like that.
Oh, yeah.
And she is actually doing an interview with Rena in like her house where she like was living. And
yeah, she kept being like, this isn't my house. Like, this isn't right.
There's something wrong,
which I don't even know why she was saying that.
Like, I think, again,
her brain was so jumbled.
Her brain was, where it was like, she didn't recognize her house as her own.
Yeah.
Because in her mind, she'd built up an idealized life. Whereas, like, suddenly she's faced, like, she'd left for a while. She's come back. She's faced the reality of what her home looked like. She's like, oh, my home didn't look like this. This is not what it looked like. So I think it was kind of like that.
Yeah. And then there was a moment where they, like, someone put, like, prop muffins on the table. And then she was like, we never made muffins. We didn't have muffins. And then Rena turns to, like, whoever put them in, and they're like, because he was like, oh, I did all the like historic research. That's what they used to eat. And she was like, I told you they didn't live a historically accurate life. Like they were doing all these things that like it was just not historically accurate, which again is another thing. Like maybe if you are very aware of how they did in 1855, you would realize those things, but we definitely didn't.
Yeah, there's two things about this epilogue I want to talk about. One, which is like, there's no mention of Caleb in this epilogue, so we have no idea what happens to Caleb. God, hopefully he's in jail.
Please.
But you can totally imagine a scenario where he was bailed out by his father. And it's like really likely that's probably what happened. Because even though his father, like you find out his political campaign failed, the imagery of having his son be in jail is probably not great. So you can imagine that he definitely might have gone bailed out.
And like obviously, I mean, I don't know, they both were very bad. I think it's just because Natalie was pulling the strings, but like I guess they both were very compliant to what was happening and did all those things, but I can see how they would make it Natalie be the big evil person and Caleb was the one that was like influenced by her. Especially
because, like you said, Natalie was the face of like the Instagram, of the influence. So it's like, again, it's really easy to pin it on her, like all the blame of what was happening. So we don't know how it went down in court, but I can imagine a world where Caleb like left,
which is interesting, because like later on we could see that she didn't have any control over anything. She didn't know what's going on, so she was like not mentally healthy enough to make decisions, and Caleb was making these awful decisions and continuing what they were doing because she wanted to leave. So he could have been like, okay, maybe we'll leave and end this lie, but no, he continued playing along.
And I really liked Rena in this book in this epilogue, because the thing that Natalie's really focused on trying to get an answer out of Rena is she keeps asking her, it's like, did you ever end up like getting married? Did you ever end up having a family? Did you ever end up doing this? And Rena's like, okay, we're going to do the interview now. If you must know, yes, I got married. And we could talk about it after did she say she got married? She started having a family.
She said she did, she, but not the way that you would think.
Not the way that you would think, And we could talk about it, after the interview. So we don't actually know the kind of family life that Rena had. But it's, again, interesting because in the book, Natalie was always seeing Rena's career because she was throughout the book like stalking Rena on Instagram. I was like, oh, Rena's doing this with like her career. Oh, she's this reporter now. Oh, but it doesn't look like she has a family. Like it doesn't look like she's made it. And it's like in Natalie's warped framework, Rena has now achieved both. She's both like a successful woman with a job, and she now has a family. Like, even though we don't know the details of Rena's family. It's like, I think it's interesting. It's like, you can see that she's now achieved basically everything that Natalie wishes she had. And Natalie was like so dismissive of Rena and the action she was taking in her life because she didn't immediately have a family. She didn't immediately settle down. It's like, she didn't realize that there was another way that you can achieve everything that you want in your life. And before they actually even do the interview, we find out that Mary has written an autobiography about her time. And she like reads the first passage out loud and it shows Mary adjusting. And I think this is a great note to end on because it like touches like the important thing, which is like at the end of this, like you abused your children. And that's like kind of the thesis of the book, where it's like at the end of this is what happened. And this is all the people who got hurt because of you. Like, that's, like, the worst thing that you did. And I really enjoyed, like, Clementine also in the story. So I like that that's, like, kind of where the book ended. But also, Mary still finds it in herself to, like, forgive her mother, which, like, ends the cycle of violence. And, like, the cycles that was going on in the book where it's, like, Mary's finally, like, I do find it in myself to, like, forgive you and, like, move on from this experience.
I know. And there's a moment, she even talks about how they went to see the ocean and everything. And she's like, you know what makes me the saddest, Mama? How much beauty you've missed, because it really is beautiful. The future you prayed we would never get the chance to see. I think you'd liked it if you had given it a chance. So, yeah, like, she wanted their lives to be perfect, but then like, life could have been so perfect in this other way. So, yeah, it's so sad.
It's sad.
I wish nothing but the best to those children who are not real, but I hope they're doing well.
I hope they're doing better.
Yeah, and also that into like every children like in real life that had to go through something like that, because it's like awful, and it does get better, but being stuck in that family dynamic is awful.
So those were our exhaustive thoughts on Yesteryear by Caro Claire Burke. As you can see, we thought it was really good. We recommend it. Have you read it? What did you think while you were reading it? Please let us know. You can email us at betweenthebookspod@gmail.com. You can leave a comment on Spotify or on YouTube. We also have a podcast Instagram now. We'll be posting photos from the activities that we do from each of our episodes, and also sneak peeks for upcoming episodes and what we thought about the books that we've been reading. So you can follow us there at betweenthebookspod on Instagram.
And for the next book, we're actually going to be reading Fishbone Cinderella by Elizabeth Lynn. And that's going to be an arc, actually. We're going to be reading it before it comes out, so you get to hear all about it before you make the decision to go read it. So that'll be exciting. So we'll see you then. Bye.
I didn't say bye.
Why didn't you say bye?
Because I didn't know you were going to jump right into it.
I'm sorry. Okay. So we'll see you next time. Bye.